bloody spots left by moving the body. Stevens had
Who, me? Oh, I also killed somebody, though.
Dallas then built 2 small fires to burn the ropes used to move the wardens and some of the warden's equipment. He tried to get rid of anything with blood.
They've been doing that shit all night to me.
Changing mag.
Dallas never expressed remorse. To Stevens, Dallas seemed without emotion. It was more reason to fear. Dallas had to get rid of Bill Fogg's body. He decided to go to a friend's house in Nevada for help.
Drop them.
Stevens couldn't get across Dallas.
Did you get diddied?
And to get away from the killer.
Thursday Night Football on Prime. It's on.
Have some fun. Let's go. This week, the Dallas Cowboys take on the New York Giants.
Hostile UAV in the area.
I ain't no. Get the fuck off the roof with a fucking automatic.
Grenade out.
It was about my business. I'm not going anywhere. Not without you.
Welcome backstage.
Secure the lead.
All access. I love me some Hollywood mysteries. I was fellow. Something was wrong. Chilling investigations. Whitney, when introduced to drugs, couldn't handle anything. Notorious scandals and crimes.
I'm not supposed to be really having all these feelings in my life.
Real drama, real celebrity. Watch now.
No.
Who's playing this squad back together?
The enemy's taking the lead. Friendly
Dancing
UAV
queen.
online.
I am literally looking at the most incredible ocean view.
An inspiration.
That's insane.
Sold me on buying it.
We have taken the
Show
lead.
the meaning of home,
Hostile mosquito is online.
wherever that may be.
The biggest little city in the world.
Stay home and strain free. All day, every day.
Dice Hill, Nevada, 5 hours away. As they drove, Dallas tried to convince Stevens that the killings were justifiable homicide. The wardens had invaded his territory, only defending himself. Stevens couldn't understand how it was self-defense, but he didn't argue. There was no telling what Dallas might do to him.
Friendly stealth bomber inbound.
Near the end of their drive, Dallas apologized for involvement. They arrived at the headquarters of Liz Nielsen around 11 o'clock that night. The Nielsens ran a small tavern out of their house and were just closing for the night.
George! George, it's Paul.
Dallas told his old friend George he had just killed two fishing demons. He needed Nielsen's help. With others around, Jim Stevens no longer feared for his life. But what he had seen and done still
Mission time
terrified.
is half over. Maintain friendly UAV on station.
Dallas told George and Liz Nielsen he had one body outside, that the other was in the river near his camp. George Nielsen shared Dallas's contempt for the law, and he believed the claim of self-defense. He agreed to help. Dallas told Stevens he could go, and asked to borrow the Nielsen's pickup to take Fogg's body out and bury it.
UAV
The men went outside so Dallas could move the body from the blazer to Nielsen's
Hostiles
room.
deploy the mosquito.
Stevens could finally head home. Dallas went off alone to get rid of the body. Hours later, he would return to the Nielsen's to shout. The Nielsen would give him food for cash. Around 5:30 a.m., Nielsen would drop him off 15 miles away, where it is believed another friend picked him up. In any case, Claude Dallas had disappeared. A few hours later, Jim Stevens realized he had to go to the police. After talking with George, he visited Liz Nielsen at the local hospital.
Wow, bitch.
She agreed they should contact authorities. They were too involved not to. They met with the county prosecutor. Stevens explained that he was there at the time of the shootings, but had his back turned when Dallas started firing.
Friendly UAV online.
He didn't see if Poe had drawn his gun, so Stevens couldn't verify or dispute Dallas' self-defense. George and Liz Nielsen told how they had helped Dallas disappear, but they didn't know where he was. All anyone knew was that for some reason, Claude Dallas had snapped. He was unpredictable, armed,
Friendly
out
mosquito
there somewhere.
deployed.
If Stevens were telling the truth, there were 2 lawmen down and a killer on the run. The prosecutor contacted Owyhee County Sheriff Tim Nettle, who called in state authorities.
I notified the Department of Law Enforcement to
Friendly
gain some
UAV on
assistance
station.
because of the expertise that they could supply my department.
As Nettleton prepared to investigate the crime scene to check Stevens' story, the FBI was called in to track Dallas. Special Agent Frank Menzel, then stationed in Reno, was assigned as the Nevada case agent.
The FBI was called into the investigation.
Friendly cluster planted.
Orders of Officer Hogan Helms because it was believed that Dallas had, first of all, close luck to murder these 2 officers and that he fled the state of Idaho to avoid prosecution.
We have thick wooded areas, we have water, and we have some open terrain.
Dallas knew the land and had a head start, but the FBI had to find him. Sheriff Tim Nettleton led the investigation of the crime scene where Claude Dallas had killed the 2 game wardens. He was accompanied by deputies and state forensics experts.
Hostile UAV in the area.
An investigator riding in a news helicopter spotted a body in the river. He radioed to the team on the ground, and they located the body of Warden Conley Helms.
1 minute remaining.
At least one death was verified. Back in the camp, officers approached Dallas's tent with care, on the chance of his lying in wait for them. But only pelts and skins remained. With the area secured, Sheriff Nettleton and the forensics team could begin verifying the rest of Stevens' story.
30 seconds remain.
They couldn't rely solely on one witness's testimony. They needed hard evidence to place Dallas at the scene and prove what happened
Friendly
beyond
UAV
his
online.
Investigators videotaped and took photographs to preserve the placement of footprints and other evidence.
10 seconds remaining.
They were most interested in collecting ballistic evidence. The examiners needed to retrieve the warden's guns and any spent bullets from them. The question was whether the wardens had fired or even drawn their guns.
The mission is
If they
complete.
had, Dallas
Good
may
work.
be innocent of murder. Searchers found .357 and .22 caliber shell casings, which they hoped to be able to trace to determine who had fired. Although evidence had been burned, much still remained. The scorched twigs might yield powerful fruit.
In the process, we found where the sagebrush had been piled on human blood, later identified as Bill Fogarty's and Tony Helm's blood, and burned to assume to destroy the evidence.
It was painstaking work, but their meticulousness was crucial. Even the tiniest traces of evidence would be useful to Idaho State Crime Lab examiner Rick Roth.
There was a number of blood spots that were collected off plants, off dirt, around the campfire, just in a number of locations.
The one eyewitness, Jim Stevens, cooperated fully. His testimony would help the Idaho Department of Law Enforcement's Harry Capall reconstruct the killings.
We took, the next day, I believe it was, we took Stevens and went back down to the crime scene and had him walk us through, showing us where Helms was standing, where Hogue was standing, where he was standing, where Dallas was positioned, and we acted it out and photographed it.
Thursday night football on Prime. It's on.
Have some fun? Yeah, let's do it. This week, the Dallas Cowboys take on the New York Giants. It's Thursday night football. It's all straight Thursday night football on Prime.
How much would you sound like? $200?
Hardcore team deathmatch. You're clear to engage
About
any and
to
all hostiles in the AO.
Here we go.
Chaka-laka.
We've taken the lead.
Let's do this, dog.
Sometimes there's consequences.
I don't want to wait.
I think it's really
Could be me.
Stun grenade out.
My name is Red. I'm a man. Like this. Women don't like him. They should at least like Annie. Good mythical morning. That looks fun. What do you think happens when you die?
I think it's this.
By the best man in the machine. Wait, let's do this.
This is the real deal. Grenade out.
Friendly cruise missile deployed. Friendly UAV online.
Investigators were sure of what had happened. But they didn't know where Claude Dallas was or where he had hidden Bill Fogarty's body. Local and state officers and civilian volunteers would look at the body. News of the woman's murders galvanized the searchers. Most of the news was Sheriff Gary Amon, then a dispatcher, was part of the search for the body.
Dallas being a cold-blooded cop killer, it was very searching. But there was anger there that you wanted to help the family find the body so they could bury their loved one.
Many of the searchers knew the 30-square-mile wilderness that they'd be scattered. But there were dozens of abandoned mine shafts and gullies in which to hide a body. And Claude Dallas knew them all.
All right, let's move it. We're in daylight.
They would use high technology, like infrared scanners. But most importantly, they would rely on their own patience and dedication.
They were very long days, cold days. We walked with the horses, include airplanes, helicopters.
The FBI's manhunt was charged with finding Dallas. The trapper could be anywhere. He was said to know every cave and gopher hole in the area where Idaho, Oregon, and
X-ray down.
so the FBI wasted no time in blanketing the region with agents.
Centralized FBI force arrived in Winnemucca this morning. 12 members of the Bureau's SWAT team out of San Francisco. They'll be evaluating the following in several areas.
There were about 100 officers, including SWAT teams from California, Idaho, and Nevada. It was a posse ready for anything because no one knew what the dangerous woodsmen might do. While Special Agent Frank Manziel coordinated the Nevada search, Special Agent George Kelly of the Boise Field Office became the FBI's lead investigator.
The story of Dallas early seemed to be that he was a loner. He was one who was not too close to other people. He was a person who could live all by himself, go out in the night, and be totally independent.
Dallas projected the image of a storybook mountain man that goes around. It was a tale years in the making. Dallas was born on March 11, 1950, in Winchester, Virginia, the second son in a family of 9. When he was just a boy, his father taught him to hunt and lay a trap, and that game laws didn't apply to him. The FBI learned that Dallas's name was already in their files for a draft dodging charge more than 10 years earlier. He was 18 and registered for the draft as required by law, then left his family to hitchhike to California.
Maintain the lead.
Dallas found work as a rancher, though he had no experience. But he learned facts and soon became known for his hard work and for his distrust of the law. After several years, he moved on, perhaps unaware the FBI wanted him as a draft dodger. In 1973, the FBI caught up with Clark Dallas. They arrested him for failure to report an induction. The draft board couldn't prove he had ever received his draft notices. They dropped the charges. It was his first victory over the government laws he despised. Dallas moved to Paradise Hill, Nevada. He decided to trade ranch work for the life of a trapper. He wanted to be completely free. For long, Dallas was making his living solely as a trapper in the Nevada wilds. Although he was licensed, his traps often violated state game laws for illegal bait. Legitimate trappers had little respect for his operation. Sheriff Nettleton knew Dallas's reputation.
Dallas.
Stay with it. It's nothing.
As authorities investigated the man they were hunting for alleged murder, they uncovered a history of conflict with the law. In 1976, Nevada game warden Dale Elliott came across some of Dallas's illegally baited traps. Dallas used birds and animal parts to lure bobcats, whose skins brought a good price. But this improper bait also attracts animals like raccoons and skunks and kills them needlessly. Elliott confiscated the traps and fined Dallas $100.
Sniper's done.
2 years later, in 1978, another warden, Gene Welk, came across more traps in Dallas's territory. They were illegally baited with chunks of meat and had no tags. Dallas couldn't be found, and since it was late, Weller decided to return the next day to look for him.
Friendly Overwatch Helo inbound.
The following morning, Weller and a sheriff's deputy found Dallas's Jeep. But again, Dallas couldn't be located. Inside the Jeep, they found 2 weapons, a rifle and a revolver. It was against Nevada law to keep a loaded rifle in a vehicle, so they confiscated it. They took the revolver, too. 2 loaded weapons in a possibly abandoned vehicle presented a dangerous situation. Anyone wandering nearby could take the firearm. The officers left a note for Dallas explaining where the guns would be held.
UAV active.
Name's Claude Dallas. Here to get my guns.
3 days later, a disgruntled Claude Dallas arrived at the sheriff's office for Winnemucca, Nevada, to claim his guns. They were now unloaded, and Dallas argued that the shells that had been inside were spent. The deputies couldn't produce evidence that the guns had hit dry ground. The weapons were returned and were fine position. It was another Dallas victory. Dallas was a man who rejected the rules of society. But if his rules allowed for murder, the FBI
in the area.
had to bring him in. Within days of the two game warden's death, FBI agents gathered information about the killer Claude Dallas.
We've got him on the
Special
run.
Agent George Kelly led the investigation.
They
1 minute
realized that
remaining.
to find Claude Dallas, they had to learn more about him.
The FBI talked with local trappers and ranchers. Many were reluctant to help. The information on Dallas came slowly. As it did, the FBI pieced together the days leading up to the kill of the two game wardens.
The mission is complete. Good work.
In December of 1980, a month before the killing of the wardens, Dallas had made a winter camp in a remote stretch of wilderness in Idaho's southwest corner. He would spend the winter trapping alone for a few visits from friends like Jim Stevens, who promised to bring mail and supplies. He chose Bull Basin for his camp. It was perfect for him. Wild, isolated country rich in deer and buck. A place where a man could live by his own rules. Dallas's closest neighbors were miles away. He knew other trappers sometimes worked Bull Basin, but he figured he could avoid them and the state's fish and game law. But one day his neighbor paid him